Welcome to the Busy Signal. My name is Jim, and this is my retrostalgic 80s, 90s, and early 2000s podcast. This show aims to salute all the stuff from back in the day that is now extinct or quickly going that way. The Busy Signal, episode 44. Thanks for listening. One of my favorite topics here on the show is food. I love remembering all of the absolutely unhealthy and colorful snacks that I enjoyed as a kid. The sodas, the cereals, the bubble gum, and all the other discontinued confections from back in the day. But recently, I stumbled onto something that I'd never seen before. It was a food product that, well, it just struck me as kind of weird and kind of gross, but it got me to wondering what other weird food products were out there that I didn't know about or completely forgot about from past decades. Like, I don't care if they failed or survived the test of time and we're still eating them today. I'm just looking for the weird and mostly edible things that we ate back in the 80s specifically. We're going to do a 90s and a 2000s episode, of course, but we're doing weird 80s food today. And when you go looking for weird stuff, you find weird stuff. And even I had some memories unlocked and dusted off in my search for these odd foods. So let's see how many you remember in this episode. Grab a fork. Hope you're hungry. All right, I'm going to ease us into the weirdness. We'll start off small. In 1985, a new sandwich cookie was released by Nabisco. Hydrox and Oreo had already been around for a long time, especially Hydrox. So sandwich cookies were not new or a weird concept by any means. But this sandwich cookie wasn't exactly like Hydrox or Oreo. Giggles cookies had faces. A girl, a boy, and just a face with its hand over its mouth. They all had eyes and these kind of like open mouth grins. And you could get vanilla cookies or chocolate cookies. But no matter which you got, they had the same double cream filling. Two kinds of cream filling were visible via the face holes. I know that's a weird saying, face holes, but there was a vanilla cream center and the outer ring was chocolate. And that sure kind of sounds novel and fun, but really it was a little odd. And I guess it was more for toddlers, really, because the marketing was completely obnoxious and kind of disturbing.
I like new Giggles cookies because they've got two kinds of cream inside. He likes Giggles' funny faces. There's fudge and vanilla cream in each one. I can't believe how good this is.
New Giggles cookies. Two kinds of cream in each funny face.
Are you gonna eat that?
And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, this is how I remember them, they just weren't that great. They almost tasted stale right out of the box. Like they almost didn't even have a flavor, even though there was chocolate and vanilla. The flavor was just sweet cardboard. And I remember having them as a kid and immediately thinking, these aren't good, and I wish I was having an Oreo or even a Hydrox. So anytime they were an option, it was an easy pass for me. Eventually, a third flavor was released. It was peanut butter cream filling with chocolate cookies. I don't know how that one was. I don't remember ever having that one. But sadly, for those that did like Giggles, they were gone by 1989, 90-ish, something like that. Since I didn't like them, I didn't really notice that they were gone maybe until years later. What I did find out was that Giggles seemed to be based on a UK snack called Happy Faces. And those were shortbread sandwich cookies of different flavor varieties filled with cream and jam. That actually sounds pretty good to me. But just like Giggles, Happy Faces has disappeared as well. Thus ends the era of smiling sandwich cookies. I've often talked about how the 1980s saw massive technological advances. This wasn't exclusive to computers, by the way. Food tech was doing the same thing. Interesting things. In 1983, Betty Crocker introduced a corn syrup-based fruit-flavored children's snack. It was as thin as paper and rolled up in between two sheets of cellophane. Fruit roll-ups. And this was fine. It wasn't super weird because we already had like fruit snacks, fruit wrinkles, fruit corners. So fruit roll-ups kind of seem to be the next evolution in corn syrup-based fruit-flavored children's snacks. Say that 3 times fast, by the way. Wow. It was their next roll-up that we weren't ready for. You see, fruit roll-ups had been so successful that Betty Crocker decided to revisit the roll-up market again, and in 1987, they gifted children with pudding roll-ups. As if pudding needed to be any more portable than it already was. At the time, pudding was already available in metal cans with pull-off tops and plastic cups. But Betty Crocker said that's not enough. We want kids to be able to play with their pudding, to bare-hand it straight to their face, to tear it, mold it, fold it, and whatever else they can think of. We want them to be able to do that.
Want to see some pudding?
How can it be? I can't believe my eyes. New pudding roll-ups, pudding in disguise. They can be lots of things pudding can't be, but the yummy, yummy taste, that's pudding to me.
New Betty Crocker pudding roll-ups in milk chocolate, chocolate fudge, or butterscotch. Real pudding in disguise.
New pudding roll-ups, am I surprised? Pudding roll-ups, pudding in disguise. New pudding roll-ups.
It was available in 3 flavors, milk chocolate, chocolate fudge, and for whatever reason I cannot think of, butterscotch. And unlike the fruit roll-ups in the cellophane, pudding roll-ups came in wax paper. And apparently this just was too weird, either for kids or parents, because they were gone by 1988. They hardly lasted a year. And as with anything that comes and goes so quickly, a community of people exists that would love to have their pudding skins back. Seriously though, that is all I can think of when I talk about pudding roll-ups, is pudding skins, that Seinfeld episode where George is trying to market pudding skins. He's trying to push this idea that pudding skin singles are just going to be the next best thing. And also the term pudding skin makes me want to vomit, by the way. That's disgusting. And that's kind of like what pudding roll-ups make me think of. Like I said, 1980s food tech was making the impossible possible. And I can't think of a more 1980s weird food tech product, maybe than this one. The microwave was really finding its way into American homes in the 1980s. It was more affordable, and people were looking for quick food pretty much at every turn. People knew that the microwave was a quick way to cook, but on the whole, we were still kind of trying to figure it out, like how the microwave was going to fit into everyday meal prep. There were tons of instructional cookbooks for the microwave and how to make full course meals in your microwave, cook a turkey in your microwave, but really, the place to look was your grocer's freezer. One brand in particular specialized in quick, easy, microwaved meals. Micro Magic. They made burgers and fries in the microwave, super easy. But Micro Magic didn't just stop at burgers and fries. They wanted you to have the full fast food experience straight out of your microwave. They wanted you to be able to have a cheeseburger, French fries, and a milkshake straight from your microwave. Yes, microwaved milkshakes.
I want a thick, quick, creamy shake.
Give a Micro Magic right now.
I want a cool, luscious, thick shake, honey.
Give a Micro Magic right now.
Give a Micro Magic, give a Micro Magic,
Give a Micro Magic right now.
for double thick, double creamy shakes in just 45 seconds.
Give a Micro Magic, give a Micro Magic, give a Micro Magic right now.
Does it get any more weird 1980s than microwaved milkshakes? I don't think so, but there is still more episode to go after this. How did it work? Well, the shakes were frozen solid, and you nuked it on high for 45 seconds. And that was for a thick shake. If you like your shake a little less thick, like you can actually drink it out of a straw, you nuke it longer. I couldn't find out too much on Micro Magic milkshakes. They came out in 1989, and maybe they were around for a few years before disappearing. I remember Micro Magic. I think I may have even had a burger and fries. But that wasn't the weird part. It was the milkshakes. The milkshakes seemed dodgy to me. It seems finicky to try and get it right, the time you have to microwave it for consistency. It seems like a lot of fine tuning. Maybe they were all right. If you let it go a couple seconds too long, you've ruined the whole thing. But for those that wanted faster fast food back in the day, Micro Magic was there for you. So can we go back to pudding for a minute? Because apparently pudding had an absolute grip on America in the 1980s. We had pudding roll-ups, pudding pies, pudding in cans, and pudding on a stick. Yes, one company said, people love pudding, so can we put it on a stick? And obviously the answer is yes. And it was delicious. While they were introduced in the late 1970s, pudding pops really popped off in and throughout the 1980s. The advertising for pudding pops was driven by a person known in pop culture history at the time as America's dad, Bill Cosby. No, I'm not going to play a commercial featuring him, but it's not easy to find one without him. There's literally one that I found. So here you go.
And it's really great.
One just never stops. Good times on the ship. Jello pudding pops.
Hey guys, look what I got!
Jello pudding pops. It's creamy Jello pudding frozen on a stick.
Good friends are for sharing the things you like a lot. Good times are for sharing. Jello pudding pops.
These frozen slabs of heaven were second to none. Somewhere in the late 90s or early 2000s, people stopped appreciating pudding pops. In 2004, Jell-O licensed its name to Popsicle to use on their brand of pudding pops, but it just wasn't the same. The recipe, the shape, it was just too different. And then another feeble attempt at pudding pops was made around 2010, 2011, with absolutely no success. Listen, if you loved frozen pudding on a stick and you want it that badly, recipes exist online, as well as the molds to get the shape right. You can do this. Not all weird foods are gross, so now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Sometimes weird foods are just that. They're weird. And this next one is the inspiration for this episode. Earlier this month, we lost George Wendt. He passed. Obviously, he was very famous for playing Norm in Cheers. And anytime a celebrity from the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s leaves us, you can find a small tribute remembering them on the Busy Signal Instagram at Busy Signal Cast. In my research to honor Mr. Wendt, I stumbled onto a commercial from a time before he was known as Norm. In 1980, George Wendt was in a commercial for Kraft oven melts. I was immediately excited to see a very young George Wendt, but that excitement faded real quick to confusion. I was unfamiliar with the product being advertised. I had to watch it a few times, and it was worth it. It's definitely worth a few watches because there's some things to unpack in this commercial.
Yoo-hoo! Up here, and I have a wonderful snack for you.
A snack? She wants us to climb Mount Everest for a snack?
No, I've got these. Oven melts. They're more than a snack. Come on.
Oven melt slices from Kraft. Real cheese, real meat in one thick slice. Broil them on bread. Nutritious, satisfying, and good.
And about 30 cents a serving is really good, too.
Oven melts. That's more than a snack.
That's cheese with some meat to it.
Oven melt slices from Kraft.
Essentially, these oven melts are individually wrapped discs of cheese, slightly thicker than their Kraft singles, probably because there's bits of meat in the cheese discs. You put them on bread or toast or a bagel or whatever you want under the broiler in your oven so that they melt for a quick, cheap snack. But it's more than a snack.
That's cheese with some meat to it.
There's very little to be found on Kraft oven melts other than this commercial, and all I can see is a record of a canceled trademark for oven melts filed January 23rd, 1980, and had a status as of December 21st, 2002 as canceled. The trademark verbiage includes cheese slices containing meat and has a description of ingredients that would cover pretty much all meats or whatever would be in this line of product. From the commercial, you can see that there were 4 varieties of oven melts: taco style, Western style, and pizza style. And I will give extra points to anyone who can remember or figure out what the 4th style is, because it is not legible in the commercial. That 4th box in the back, I can't figure out what it says. Obviously, this product didn't last long. There's virtually no information or proof that it existed, really. Do you remember oven melts? Anybody? By the mid to late 80s, America was experiencing a phenomenon, a first of its kind. Hulkamania was running wild. The wrestling superstars of the World Wrestling Federation were everywhere, filling stadiums, playing on Saturday morning cartoons, selling toys of numerous varieties, and generating tons of cash with pay-per-view events. The only market that the WWE hadn't conquered was food. The fix? A unique frozen treat that was developed in 1987 by WWF. Yes, this was before they lost their battle with the World Wildlife Fund and became the WWE. Anyway, WWF Superstar ice cream bars were awesome. They were weird, but definitely awesome at the same time. It was their construction that was odd. Vanilla ice cream with a solid milk chocolate back and a cookie in front. The cookie was soft. I say cookie, but really that's for lack of a better word. It was a weird, soft, cookie-ish thing. And the cookie was branded with different wrestling superstars from Hulk Hogan to Andre the Giant, Tito Santana, and Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah!
You know something, when the Hammer finds it hot and tough in the WWF in the summertime, the best way I know to cool down is with the WWF Superstars of Wrestling ice cream bar. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna hammer one down right now.
Oh, and it was on a stick. These were available from Good Humor from 1987 all the way up until 2009. It really was its own thing. In 2020, it made a brief comeback, maybe just for a year or two, except it was a square ice cream sandwich, no stick this time. There were current wrestlers featured, maybe a couple throwbacks, but nothing really going on there. Maybe one day Good Humor will bring back the WWE Superstar ice cream bars properly, with the solid milk chocolate back and the stick. Did you remember these weird, fun, and extremely processed foods from the 1980s? Extra points to anybody who remembers Kraft oven melts. The 1980s wasn't the only decade with weird delicacies, though, so stay tuned. Down the road, we'll do 90s and early 2000s weird food episodes. I have those planned out mostly, but I'm open to weird food suggestions. You can drop those suggestions in the comments section of the show's Instagram at BusySignalCast. And while you're there, smack that follow button for a daily shot of nostalgia, because we've got over 1,000 posts to transport you to back in the day. Every week on the Busy Signal Insta, we have a theme. Recent themes have featured Ernest P. Worrell, fruit snacks, Tiger handheld games, and Legos, with a little Memorial Day fun mixed in. So lots of fun over on the Insta. If you liked this episode, head on over to Apple or Spotify and punch the subscribe button. Never miss an episode. They're free. And we're quickly heading towards 50 episodes. So there's plenty of nostalgic nonsense to dig into with myself and my occasional guests. And while you're there, it would be super rad if you wrote a positive review or gave it a 5-star rating. It's always appreciated. Well, that's it for this one. I'm slightly tempted to go looking online for pudding pop recipes and freezer molds. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you later. Once again, I'd like to say thanks for listening. And as always, you can listen to The Busy Signal everywhere quality podcasts are streamed. Hit the subscribe button to have a new episode delivered directly to your favorite device every other Friday. If you really like the show, leave a 5-star rating or a positive review on Apple and Spotify. That lets everybody else know to come check out what you already think is awesome. You can also head over to Instagram and follow the show at BusySignalCast for even more retro-nostalgic content. I share a good amount of fun stuff that isn't mentioned on the episodes. While you're there, say hi in the comments. Don't be shy. And until next time, remember, reach out and touch the past.